Right, if there were no further comments on question number 1, we'll move on to question number 2. The core strategy carries forward the approach in the current unitary development plan, which is the planning policy we have at the moment, towards commercial development. And this is what I mentioned earlier. And this means that where we have proposals to increase the amount of commercial floor space for private education, health and leisure uses, and those are the facilities that are not subject to public funding, by 400 square metres or more, we require those facilities to provide the equivalent amount of residential floor space. So within the central part of Westminster, there's a general approach that when you provide new commercial floor space, whether it be retail, offices or these private education, health or leisure facilities, then for whatever amount of floor space you're putting in, you must provide the equivalent in residential, really to contribute towards our housing. Should there be any additional flexibility in this policy approach, other than that's already set out? So just bearing in mind what those uses might be, the private education, health and leisure uses, but do you see that in practice that there should be any more flexibility applied to that?
Yes, I think if they... I don't think I'm using this properly, so I'll try.
Right.
I think there should be some flexibility. I'm thinking, for example, of a private school that's moving to larger premises, and it seems to me that it's not the provision of housing that should be required for them where they're increasing their size. It is that some of these private education establishments do actually offer currently a benefit to the local community, where in that they do allow access to groups at a lower price and so on. And it seems to me that there is a loss of education access to the local community, even to a private school, if they're operating, as they should be, because some of them have charitable status.
Do you have any idea how we might assess the sort of contribution that those private facilities are making? I mean, it would be different.
Maybe if they have a Saturday school that's sort of affordable for local people, or which local people are buying into somehow, maybe that would be the way. In other words, if they're offering some sort of extended school access.
Okay, thank you. Gentleman over here.
Yes, could I just ask how the policy is going to be applied? Where new private facilities are being created out of existing commercial space, would the policy apply then?
No, it wouldn't. It's an increase in commercial
So it's
floor
new
space.
commercial space.
So that's right. So for example, if we had, just imagine in somewhere, I don't know, let's say Soho, you had a small office block and a private leisure facility like some sort of fitness and beauty business wanted to set up, but they also wanted to add on 2 extra floors for whatever purpose. The policy only kicks in when that increase in commercial floor space hits the 400 square metres of additional floor space. So you could change, say, an office to a language school without hitting this policy, the mixed-use policy. So it's changes between commercial are okay unless they increase the office. Office is an exception. But when we're talking about these social and community facilities, no, commercial to that sort of commercial activity doesn't trigger the policy, only additional commercial floor space.
Okay, Councillor.
Why are you restricting this to not subject to public funding? Aren't there a lot of joint ventures these days?
Would you suggest we broaden it? That would, I think, be our question. And if it got extended beyond those facilities, what other facilities would you see we should be seeking some residential from?
No, I was just objecting to the fact that you're restricting the public funding. You're excluding a scheme that's been publicly funded, aren't you?
That's right. Yeah. If some schemes been publicly funded, then we wouldn't seek housing from it. So say there was a new larger library.
Why should you exclude public funding?
Well, would you put forward that if they are public funding, we should equally try and secure residential off them? Okay, thank you.
Hello? I don't know if it's on. Well, it seems very restrictive, the present clause, so I don't know what made them decide that when that policy was set. But it definitely seems very restrictive, and I think if a development goes ahead with extra area for whether it be offices, but particularly health, they should make an equal amount of square footage available for a library or health facilities. I think it's much too restrictive that it must just be housing. And I don't know if that's affordable housing or general housing or the same, depending on the size of the event, that housing would be split between the two as it is now.
That's exactly right, depending on the size. But I take your point that you would want to see social and community facilities delivered off the back of those increases in commercial floor space as well.
I'm a bit surprised the present policy, it seems so obvious to me, it's too restrictive. What were the reasons it was developed in the first place like that? Must have gone through a similar consultation at the time.